So I find it helpful to do the muscles in different colors. And so here we have the rectus femoris, the most upright, longest of the quads here in pink. And it originates all the way up here at the AIIS, anterior inferior iliac spine. Not to be confused with the ASIS, which is all the way up here. So if you were to follow the iliac crest, it goes to the point which is the ASIS, and it is down from there where the AIIS is. Rectus femoris, like all the other quads, goes to the patella and then down to the ligaments to the tibial tuberosity. Now, I happen to have this one model here where that ligament is already sculpted on the model itself. You can indicate tendons in a different color if you want, or you can use the same color. So I could add some to go all the way down to some pink to go all the way down to the tibial tuberosity. So I can use a different tendon color, that's up to you. So that's my rectus femoris. I'm just gonna add that tendon all the way to the tibial tuberosity. And it's optional, but it can be helpful to also kind of draw in once you got the basic muscle. And for a nice long muscle like this, you know, you might want to kind of roll it out first as a long tube and then put it on. Using a toothpick or the edge of some tool, even just a pen cap, you can draw the muscle fibers. And that's optional, but I find it helpful to really visualize the muscle patterns. And this one kind of has a pennate or feathered pattern here. We have vastus medialis here. The part we can see right now is this teardrop. And then here in yellow, we have vastus lateralis. And I did not build the hamstrings yet. So they're going to come right up to the vastus lateralis. And I did not build a ITB or iliotibial band. If I did, it would go on top of this yellow. So it's up to you whether you want to build the tendons or not. And then with 3 different colors here, it may be misleading to put this tendon in pink because all 4 quads share this tendon. So I could use a different tendon color there. And to be fair, one of my kids sculpted this one and did just what was visible. So there's actually no vastus intermedius underneath mine. And I'm going to move on to my hamstrings now. And actually, I'm going to change this tendon color since all 4 quads are sharing it. I'm going to make it purple. Are there any questions or comments? Okay, I'm just going to add this tendon, and then I'm going to pause the recording while I make my hamstring. So this is the tendon that all 4 quads share. And we're going to go across the patella, the kneecap, all the way down to the tibial tuberosity. So you can all definitely use your own sculpting techniques, but you might find for the longer muscles to literally roll out a tube of muscle can be a good starting point. And then you can always adjust the shape from there. So I'm on my hamstrings now, and I'm going to start off with my biceps femoris. The hamstring that's going to wrap around on the lateral aspect of the knee, and the one that's also going to be the most lateral aspect of the ischial tuberosity, the furthest out and up this way as far as the ischial tuberosity side. And then as far as the insertion, down here at the head of the fibula. So then when I do roll out the longer muscles, I sort of test out the length before I start really sculpting them. So that's a pretty good starting place. And that's my long head of biceps femoris. And so I'm actually going to get the short head in there first. All right, so I'm going to get the short head of my biceps femoris, and it shares the same tendinous attachment here to the head of the fibula as the long head does. But we're attaching here at the distal aspect of the femur. This is my short head on the linea aspera, which is sort of a roughened raised edge, and that's going to be clear on some models and not on others. So there's my short head, and it's got a more tendinous aspect right here. And then we've got some beautiful pennate fibers coming in, which I'm going to kind of roughly draw here, like so, sort of like the triceps. And then we've got the long head of biceps femoris, the most lateral aspect of the ischial tuberosity, down to the head of the fibula, and that's going to get like a skinny, strong tendon. So I'm going to get this part that's tendinous skinnier, and the whole thing's going to be flatter as well. So I'm going to shape that. Get this tendon skinny. And that's really a shared tendon with the, you're not going to be able to isolate that short head and long head tendon. And flatten that out. All right, I'm going to pause and roll out a Semitendinosus and Semi-Membranosis. Okay, so now I'm going to do Semi-Membranosis, and first the origin and insertion. So we're originating on the ischial tuberosity, but it's going to be medial to the biceps femoris, and then superior to the semitendinosus, which is not there yet. And then the insertion is going to be on this medial aspect, just inferior to this ridge here, which is that condyle. So we've got posterior aspect of the medial condyle. So there's our origin and insertion. And this semi-membranosus, you want to build before semitendinosus. It is wide and deep to it. So I rolled out sort of a flat piece first, but then, I rolled out a round tube first, but then flattened it because membranosus is pretty wide and tendinous. So something like this, and I'm going to get it closer then to femoris, biceps femoris. There's a lot of these muscles that we abbreviate when you hear me say just part of its name. And then there's this big aspect of it here that is tendinous. And then there's the sort of feathered pennate fibers here. And now I'm going to work on semitendinosus. Okay, here, so my last one is going to be semitendinosus, and I rolled out a semitendinosus muscle. It's going to be thinner, not as wide as semimembranosus. But to first show you the origin and insertion, I'm going to peel away semimembranosus, and I'm going to leave its origin there. So if we were looking at semimembranosis, semitendinosus, it's going to insert relatively down there, below it, inferior. So that's tendinosus is in blue, membranosus is in red, and biceps femoris is in purple. So big part of the ischial tuberosity. So now, and then as far as the insertion, if you're looking at your textbook, you'll see they have to actually show it on the anterior view. So the semitendinosus is going to attach, insert on the medial shaft of the tibia at pes anserinus. And so that's all the way in the front, medial to the tibial tuberosity, so way out to the side and the front. And then between the two, this tendinosus is superficial and narrow to membranosus, which is here in red. And then it's going to curve around medially to attach more medial than membranosus. So here's membranosus in red, tendinosus in blue. So here we have the hamstrings labeled. I didn't have a purple label, so I combined a pink and a purple label to try to get a little purple color coming through. But this right lateral muscle, we have biceps femoris. The deeper, wider muscle in red is semimembranosus. And then this most lateral and superficial muscle here is in blue is semitendinosus. And thank you, everybody.